Thank you so much for coming back to another video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about Sicario, Day of the Soldado. Rashad G Reviews is back for yet another collab. We did the first Sicario together, so now here we are doing the second Sicario. If you guys have not already gone and checked out his channel, the link is down below in the description box. Go give him some love. We're going to hear from him in just a little bit, but a big thanks to him for being in this video, and let's get into my thoughts and our thoughts on Sicario 2. So Day of the Soldado, like I mentioned, is Sicario 2. It's the follow-up to Sicario. And if you guys saw our collab review for that first film, we both really love that film. Go check out that review if you guys have not already done so. But yeah, the first one directed by Denis Villeneuve, who I believe is working on the upcoming Dune film. Just a fantastic director with a great catalog of films that he's directed. It's incredibly well acted, it's tense, and it's just really well shot. And it's a film that you feel like you're along for the ride. You know what I mean? You feel like you're along for the ride with the character played by Emily Blunt, and you slowly learn things over time. There's this sense of mystery, this sense of tension, this sense of uncomfortableness in these moments, and I just thoroughly enjoy that film. So how does this film kind of hold up as a sequel? I think it's a solid, good movie. I don't think it's a fantastic movie, and I really honestly in no way, shape, or form think it's even close to as good as that first film. This time around, you have a director who mainly directed the TV stuff and, you know, some foreign movies, but hadn't really directed a lot of big, you know, major Hollywood productions. His name is Stefano Sollima, and yeah, you know, looking through his filmography, majority of his stuff is international or TV based, and he hasn't really done a lot of big budget movies like this, so I think it definitely shows. Now, that's not in any way, shape, or form to say this is a bad movie. I was thoroughly entertained by this film. I found it to be very well shot. I found it to be very well acted. There's a lot of the stuff like special effects and the performances and just the visuals of this film, the music. All of that for me was solid. So on an overall level, you would think objectively a lot about the way that this movie was put together, how it looks, and how it's performed is really, really well done. So what is there to really complain about? And it really just mainly comes down to the story. And that's not to say that the story isn't good, because like I mentioned, I was engaged and entertained. But it's a movie with one of those endings that just leaves you wanting something. Sometimes you get a movie like Inception, which this movie is nothing like, but I'm just using this as an example, where the movie ends very abruptly, or kind of ends in a way that leaves the audience kind of in a place where you can start to have discussions and think about what the ending could have possibly been. And we've seen that done with tons of other films, or just films that maybe do end just in an abrupt way that kind of allow you as an audience member to kind of think about what could have happened, or maybe what you think happened, and it kind of leaves things up to interpretation. Whereas in this film, I feel just ends abruptly and kind of leaves you as an audience member going, that's it? When this movie ended, my girlfriend and I looked over at each other, and that was really what we said was, that's it. When we watched this film, we didn't really pause at all, and from my recollection, we didn't pause one time while watching the film, and so it was never one of those situations where, oh, I gotta go up to go pee or something like that, and then when you look at the screen, when you pause it, it's like, oh, I only have 25 minutes left in the movie, so you're kind of expecting the end to come soon. This is just a movie that I was watching, entertained by, I was engaged by, but the movie ends, and it feels like the last 15 to 20 minutes of this movie feels like something that should have been in the middle of the movie. You in no way, shape, or form feel that the movie's about to end, and when it does end, it just leaves you as an audience member just going like, that's it? Like, that's all we get? And I don't want to paint this movie as a bad movie, but I just can't help but shake that feeling about this film. I think when you watch that first film, you're along for the ride. It's tense, it's very slow paced at times, and you very much are on this ride with Emily Blunt's character. But it has a cohesive, just final act, and it feels like the film concludes. Whereas this film just feels like it just ends, and you just kind of feel like there was still story to be told. It feels like the movie just ended in the middle of the story. It feels like you don't really get that resolution that you get in most movies, and I just feel like it kind of made me feel like, about this movie. If I had to watch a Sicario movie, I'm going to watch the first one. Am I still, open to watching this one from time to time? Sure, but I think compared to the first one, it is completely a drop-off. Like, I'm 100% for me. I think it's a solid, good movie, but I think had this movie come out as the first film in the series, it wouldn't have nearly had the impact that the first Sicario had. And yeah, I just kind of found it to be okay. Now, I've just been rambling my thoughts on this movie, but let me go ahead and talk a little bit more about the movie itself. This movie actually stars and mainly focuses on Josh Brolin and Benicio Del Toro's characters from the first film, and I really thoroughly enjoyed their characters from the first one, but what I think you kind of lose by having them be like the main characters in this film, rather than kind of main supporting characters in the first film, is the fact that in the first film, they were two of the main characters kind of keeping secrets, kind of making things feel tense at times, and making you as an audience member, along with Emily Blunt's character, kind of feel like this sense of uncertainty in these moments. Whereas in this film, when you have them as the main characters, that kind of is all eliminated. You know what I mean? You kind of know what's happening. There isn't really too many secrets being kept from our main characters. There are a couple moments like that throughout the film. There's definitely a sense of tension at times, but not nearly to the same level that there is in that first film. There are moments in that first film that feel uncomfortable for Emily Blunt's character, and you as an audience member feel that as well. I really do enjoy Josh Brolin and Benicio Del Toro in these films, specifically Benicio Del Toro. Once again, he is the standout performance in this film, similar to what he was in the first film for me. I just think he's really great in this role. He's very serious, very stoic, and I just thoroughly enjoy that. And speaking of serious, I found that Josh Brolin's character in this film was a little bit more serious than in the first film, and that's not a bad thing. I still thoroughly enjoyed his character in this movie, but one thing I really enjoyed about his character in the first one is that he's very self-assured, very cocky, very confident guy that you can tell knows what he's doing, has experience, has history, and knows what he wants to do. And what kind of made his character almost comedic to a certain extent in that first film, on top of all those very confident elements, was the fact that he, just strolling around to these, government and military meetings, the FBI meetings, in cargo shorts and sandals with no socks on, you know what I mean? Like, the dude's just chilling. And this movie reintroduces us to him by him going to interrogate this guy on some sort of military or government base, and he's strolling around in cargo shorts and Crocs. And so he's still that very laid-back, chill guy, but I found him to be a little bit more serious this time. It felt a little bit disconnected from his character from the first one. Not so much so that it ruined it for me, but I feel like it's at least worth mentioning. And yeah, what is this movie all about? Essentially, you have Benicio Del Toro and Josh Brolin's characters that are kind of working with the government to try to make these two cartels fight, and then there's a bunch of stuff that happens. So now that I've given essentially the basic premise of this film and talked about pretty much my main thoughts on this film, let's go ahead and hear what Rashad has to say about this one.
That's it. Yeah, I felt let down. I feel like it gave me blue balls almost. Perez, what's the deal? Pickles, is everything kosher? Thank you once again for having me in this video. So yeah, our Tit for Tat series continues. This time watching Sicario, Day of the Soldado. I think I said that right. I was a big fan of the first movie, and I already heard whispers about this one, how it wasn't as good as the first one, and those whispers were right. This was definitely not as good as the first one, but as I'm watching, I said, you know, even though this is not on the level of gangster as the first movie, but I am enjoying it. Now, one thing I will give it, I think it did have a faster pace than the first movie. The first one was kind of a slow burn, but it was gangster as fuck. Like, it doesn't take away from that at all. But this one here just had a quicker pace. It was more, I think it was more easier to follow somewhat, and it had a more simple story this time. I mean, basically, it's, you know, the president, the government trying to get the two cartels to go against each other to make them look good. Or how's it go again? Shit. But yeah, but anyway, the president and them is trying to start a war between the two cartels. And Josh Brolin and his crew of fucking savages, fucking bandits, whatever the hell you want to call them, that they're messy as hell. The president know they're messy as hell. They say, well, listen, we need some messy ass people to do this job. And, you know, Thanos himself is like, well, look here, I'm the man for the job, along with the Sicario. But shit gets conflicted, of course, when they kidnap the daughter of the main cartel guy. And I want to say, is that the same actress that played Dora, right, from Dora the Explorer? Yeah, she did a good job as well in this movie. So they kidnap her, and I saw where the movie was going, the way Benicio Del Toro, his character, the way he was looking at her, because she reminded him of his own daughter. So I said, okay, this shit's not going to go as planned. He's going to get a soft spot for this girl, and then him and your boy Josh Brolin were going to be going at each other, and that's kind of what happened. So somewhat predictable, yeah. More simpler story than the first movie, yeah. More effective, definitely not. I think this movie was a little bit more simple. I think a little bit more personal than the first one. This is more of a personal story, especially that had to do with the Sicario. But I was digging it, all right? till it got near the end. This movie was easily getting like a B. It was like a B minus around that area. Okay, it was good, but not great. But it was good. I'm not gonna sit. I wouldn't sit there and say, well, damn, this movie sucked compared to the first one. Nah, I was enjoying it. The shootouts was crazy. All right, whenever somebody got shot, you felt it. Whenever there was a car crash, you felt it. It's just something about the way they filmed the action sequences that you felt that shit. You know what I mean? But what ruined this movie for me, and I'm assuming we're going into spoilers here, but what ruined this was the ending. Oh my God, the ending. They made Sicario, the hitman, this guy has more lives than a cat. They made him look like Superman. Like, he's Dominic Toretto. He cannot fucking die. This guy got shot in the fucking head. Well, it looked like he got shot in the head, but come to find out he got shot in the face. He can barely move. He can barely drive. How the fuck did he even get out of that hole? This guy has more lives than a cat. He made it out. He survives. And then he confronts the boy that shot him at the end and says, oh, you want a career as a Sicario? Let's talk about your future. And closes the door. And that's it. And then Josh Brolin, his character, they take the little girl and you don't know what happens to her. So I'm thinking, okay, is there another sequel? And I don't know if they plan on making another sequel. If they do, I want to see where they go with this. But I felt let down the way this movie ended. Like, I really didn't get the answers that I was not so much expecting, but I felt like I didn't get any closure on this chapter of this franchise. And if they do a third one, I'm definitely down to see it. Like, maybe this could be a situation like Empire Strikes Back, where people were disappointed when Empire Strikes Back came out, but then when Return of the Jedi came and brought everything together, it made it much more epic. So maybe it can go that route. But I was disappointed the way this movie went off. I'm sitting there looking like, that's it? Yeah, I felt let down. I felt like it gave me blue balls almost, swear. I was like, damn, it was working, and then, okay. But wrapping it up, I'm going to give Sicario, Day of the Soldado, I'm going to give it I got to drop it down to a C. You know, it was working up until that point, so I got to give it a C. It's an average movie, but it was enjoyable. I didn't dislike it, you know, but it's nowhere near as gangster as that first movie. Even Sicario himself, even though he's almost hard to kill, like Steven Seagal and fucking Bruce Willis, but he wasn't nearly as gangster and brutal as he was in that first movie. I'm sorry. But anyways, y'all, that's all I got for Sicario. Perez, I'm going to give the floor back to you, man. What you got on this movie, bro? See you in, I can't even talk. See you in the next goddamn video. Damn, always getting tongue-tied and shit.
A big thanks to Rashad for being here in this video. And yeah, man, I've got to say, you and me are probably the same on this franchise overall. We both love that first film and think that it's just dope. It's all around dope. I think that first film is arguably one of the best movies to ever tackle, you know, FBI or CSI or any of these people working against a cartel, just like a cartel-based film, one of those crime type of movies. I think that this series, this first one specifically, definitely is one of the best to do that kind of stuff, you know, to deal with that subject. And overall, I would say in the last 10 years, Sicario stands out to me as one of the better films. And when it comes to the second one, you know, it's entertaining. You're engaged throughout the course of the film, but it just ends in such an abrupt and just boring way that you just can't help but kind of have a bland taste in your mouth when the movie's over. You keep thinking to yourself that the movie probably could have kept on going, and it makes you feel like the movie just ends in the middle, which just kind of leaves something to be desired with this movie. And every time I think of the first one, I think of it just a complete great movie. Whereas I think of the second one and I just don't think the same way. I think it's a good movie. I think it's entertaining. And I think if you're a fan of the first one, you should check it out if you haven't. I know somebody who commented on the first video that we did, they actually commented that they haven't watched the second one because they heard it wasn't as good and they were worried that it would tarnish their view of the first one. What I will say is, if you are a fan of the first one and you have yet to see the second one, maybe for that reason or maybe you just haven't seen it yet, I think the second one is a solid follow-up, but not anywhere near as good as the first one. And I think that even if you're thoroughly enjoying it throughout the course of the film, I am very curious to hear what you guys would think about the end of the film. So if you have seen this movie or you haven't seen this movie, I'm curious, what did you think about this movie? Do you like this movie? Do you not like this movie? Do you find it to be as good as the first one? Or do you agree with Rashad and I and just feel like it's definitely a dip down compared to the first one? Overall, I think the movie is entertaining at times. I think that it has something going for it, but it's those last 15 to 20 minutes that I just feel like they really just took it in a strange direction that makes it feel like there's so much more story to tell, and then it just ends. And I kind of just left something to be desired for me, and kind of left me with a bland taste in my mouth. So that's going to be my thoughts and our thoughts on Sicario 2, Sicario Day of the Soldado. Leave your comments down below. Do you like this movie? Do you not like this movie? Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. Also, hit that like button if you guys enjoyed the video. Genuinely, it helps the channel out, and I appreciate all of you guys who genuinely do it. And if you guys have not already subscribed, there's so much content coming. And if you look through my catalog of videos, I can only imagine that there's something here for you. So hit that like button, comment your thoughts, subscribe if you guys have not already done so, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Oh, and Rashad reviews down below in the description box. Go give him some love. Description is down there. A big thanks to him again for being in this video. See you guys in the next one, all right? Bye-bye.